Attention gamers, in this video I spectated a 0LP Iron 4 Lee Sin main, but I only said nice things about him. This is Iron Rift Adventures. Okay, so everyone say hi to our guest today, a rather unlucky individual of the Rift, and since I'm not trying to kill him with kindness here, we will just refer to him as Mr. What It Do from here on forward. And you may notice right off the bat the kind of caring individual we are dealing with here, as he waits for every last one of his teammates to leave the base before doing so himself, like the captain of a damn hockey team, always thinking of others before himself, as we see him path toward blue before hitting a thick juke, as a bit of foreshadowing to the fact everyone, including himself, will be experiencing many surprises by his gameplay in this one. So anyway, he crushes a wildly successful initial clear, which is the first time so far it's gone as well as the Lee Sin Season 2 Jungle Guide video he has up on his phone, so he has to stop for a second to see what he should do, but the forest looks slightly different in the guide, so he claps the crab in river and then deems it a perfect time to inform these scrubs of the suffocating jungle presence they are going to experience this game before executing the perfect zoning cue required to secure that pink fuzzy bumblebee the kill. Then what kind of jungler would he be if he didn't stick around, slap one of those insubordinate hoodlums in the throat to ensure that it won't be giving his laner any trouble? Then it's time to continue pushing the wave, slapping around these red robes until one goes full-blown exorcism to summon a demon back to lane, and we can only assume based off of his calculated expertise thus far he was pinging that tall Lucifer's teleport to get a timestamp pinned in chat until these two highly trained killing machines execute their kits to mechanical perfection, while the top laners literally 6 feet away kindly give these gentlemen their privacy without interruption until he who wields sword backs off out of pure fear of this man's capabilities. This allows him to resume the gank that has been going on for 2 minutes now, right where it left off, before checking the bush for threats and hitting a flawless shield shifter to let the sped Jedi know that teamwork will make this dream work, which sends you running off to tag in Lucifer, who got an encore of the teamwork demonstration as well as a cancelled auto and a flashy dismount out of Mr. What It Do. But you can tell this man cares about his teammates, as he just kind of stands there knowing his cards have been played, but his mere presence will deter that stupid samurai from getting any of that honey pink pussy juice out of the little spitballer, and sure enough his plan worked out. And normal players would go back to heal up, buy items, you name it, but not Mr. What It Do. He is a man with a plan, and he pauses to pull up said plan, but this damn deformed dog has the nerve to chirp at him, and no one chirps at this master of violence, so he sucker punches the pooches and moves on with the elaborate plan of rift domination. You see, having the B key bound and taking up mental energy to remember if it is the one that takes you back to base is a total waste when there are other ways to do so, while simultaneously perfecting your ward hop skills that will prove to come in handy later. Then I can assure you there are no impulse buys out of this Sonic Stallion. Unlike other players, he takes his time to inspect the quality of each item he's about to purchase, as only the best will be accepted before he ventures out to continue hard carrying this game. He runs straight past the chickens, purposely avoiding eye contact as it would be awkward considering their complicated past, and then has his second run-in with his 8-eyed nemesis, but chivalry is not dead, as he offers a blueberry upon meeting, which gets declined in lieu of a hyperspeed anus inspection. He goes full-blown herd dog routine on the Jedi toward his teammate for the tabletop routine, as he offers to be the meat shield, the sacrificial lamb, by turning a blind eye to the dangers that involve playing patty cake with a levitating sword lord under a pissed-off statue in an attempt to snowball his mid, but she proves to be less than accommodating in following up on this valiant effort. And there's no time to blindly tantrum tomato your way into Dragon Pit than 5 seconds after it just died, just to ensure that you have the timer correct for when it comes again. And unfortunately, data may be power, but gathering it comes at a cost, one this blind saint is willing to spend to give his team that power that unironically is also provided by default for the past 4 years. Anyways, back at shop inspecting the items before buying again, conversing with the vendor briefly to gather more information before heading back out without buying, saying you might be back, advanced negotiation tactics. Boris just got brain fucked on that one, but Mr. What It Do does not gloat in his victories. He has more rift clinics to teach, and this next one is known as the lane gank. Now there's a lot of noise out there on proper execution, but the correct way is to run through a pile of enemy minions to get a gauge for if the opposing laner is paying attention or not. You then run straight into the cove and sit there for a few seconds, 20 to be exact, because this provides enough time for the bad guy who just saw you walk over there to back up, freeze lane completely, and then wonder if you are still there, as they think no sane person would waste that much time. But you see, these mind games work perfectly, as Beelzebub big and tall gets baited into your trap, and while the timing of this one wasn't the luckiest, it's nothing he hasn't seen before. First he kicks the one-shot Satan away to separate him from his buddy, preventing any teamwork, and while the finishing sequence is tough to execute, each attempt is getting closer. Then a quick business trip down south ensues as his lane gank clinic was requested there as well, and textbook perfect time to execute one of these is when the enemy laner is already dead, but you cannot get cocky when the perfect set of cards is handed to you, as the 20-second sit in the shrubs rule still applies. Patience is a virtue and victors get the VJJ. Remember that, kids, and once the time has come, you desk pop a fucking blueberry right in front of their eyes as a warning shot. This is psychological warfare at its absolute finest, because he could have just waited there for a little longer until the dumbasses would inevitably overextend and then kill them. But the mental anguish and terrifying memories of them seeing that sonic shitter flash before their eyes will stay with them forever. Anyways, he talks the two young ladies out of quitting and then stays in the lane longer than an ugly roommate at the bar when you are just trying to rot a tap her friend at your place to give what us pros in the league biz refer to as a numbers advantage, and as you can see, it worked out like an absolute charm. #jungle diff. And most junglers wouldn't be brave enough to stare a dragon straight in the eyes here, when their bot lane needs to back because they are low and sitting on 4k gold that the other team has now spent. But this Lee plays things on the fearless side, so yeah, we are going to stick with fearless. Then some sneaky strats come out as he places a ward on top of himself, but no, never mind, I am just too slow to keep up with this Edison-sized cockbrain of his, giving himself the preemptively placed escape route. Goddamn stellar genius as he executes what you may have learned about as the war of attrition tactic. You see, the enemy he may have been given 8 kills, but if you deprive him of a blue buff, there's almost certainly no coming back from that, so eyes stay on the prize to secure that golem's kill credit, and then a seeming shift shitter over the wall ensues just as he planned, and holy shit, this level of smurfing just should not be tolerated. Okay guys, you can't expect him to take on the whole freaking team now, especially against a Comet Ezreal. And back to the shops to continue the confrontational negotiation tactics he had introduced earlier. Others may come and thoughtlessly buy the items on an impulse without any consideration for how low he may be able to get the price of that Mage Eye's Soul Stealer he's had his eye on if he just sticks to his guns and embraces the awkward, almost AFK-like atmosphere he has created with the shopkeeper. But Boris was stubborn and the Rift needs his brawny bandana boy, so he puts a pin in the negotiation and then heads toward his own blue buff, because word on the street is that a kleptomaniac is on the loose. A man who goes by 2 Chainz trying to steal his abilities and his buffs, but burning Flash so he can't steal that too is just 900 IQ as Xayah comes in to execute a flawless ult in the background before the two of them combine their mechanical mastery into a force that I don't see too many forest foes overcoming. Anyways, this launches the noble quest to single-handedly slay the world's largest purple cockroach, and you can tell this one is going to be a close battle until he gets revealed, so he does this thing called a pull-out that he learned from his uncle's story about what he should have done with Mr. What It Do's mom the night he was conceived, but when he sees that 50 Shades of Grey fanatic with his bondage bracelets, he knows the correct move is to get out, and like a fucking fortune teller he proved to be right, because a tall glass of Lucifer came pouring in. But tough situations like this are exactly why we practice, as he nails a textbook ward hop to get him to safety. So yeah, playing highly mechanical champs in low elo may be a risk, but I think I speak for all of us when I say Mr. What It Do does not belong in this elo, as he proves with a second flawless execution of such mechanic that he is just merely a victim of the system of solo queue. Then back to the shop debacle, the negotiators still strong-arming each other a little, side-eyed sarcastic cheeky remarks are exchanged between the two before he is off once again. Now it's also important to note the level of respect this player has even for the creatures that his job requires he kill, as you see him meditate and pray over their corpses for very long extended periods of time after he clears them, a big dick power move for sure that should yield some positive karma to fuel those effortless ward hops in the future. And one of the most awesome things about this elo is how efficient the players are in their tactics. Remember the lane gank 20 seconds rule that was demonstrated twice earlier? Well, it turns out that same exact seemingly waste of time can be applied to the ram it up situation, where you wait in a corner, no need to scan it, wondering if you have been sitting on a ward, as those dumb piggies won't be looking at their map anyway, and wait for the perfect move. Then like a cobra you snap to secure the assassination on that blinking beauty. Twinkle shit eliminated, and since your job is complete at that point, it really doesn't matter what happens after that, because he just single-handedly brought the biggest advantage he possibly could have to his team, and it's in their hands now. Damn, the price of Mage Eyes really still is not budging. And thus we come to the dangerous dragon heist, the telltale sign of a true master of the jungle, as you see Mr. What It Do focused eye on the prize, ignoring his team getting completely butt-fucked right next to him as a bunch of ults are dropped on the floor. They'll never see the slip into the back door coming, the anus excursion. Have you? as he desk pops his entrance and then executes Operation Runaround, hoping they will forget about the dragon. But hey, you miss 100% of shots you don't take, and the important thing to do is put it behind you and immediately go straight back to haggling that cocky street vendor, charging criminal markups on all these AP items you are trying to buy, as you get in his face and really lay into him before heading back to work, because there are urgent matters to deal with. Namely, the other team is trying to ejaculate an erect toothy worm and lather themselves in its sacred purple minion rallying jizz, so he rushes over, pauses on a ward to pick a wedgie as that would be too distracting to fight with, and then heads in. Satan himself gets exorcismed in, and a blueberry just barely misses the giant stationary target before a bong pass bouncy house kick gets the danger away. And in the midst of the chaos, he knows how important this next W is, so he takes his time and lands it perfectly before sacrificing himself so that his teammates can contest the Baron that was taken 40 seconds ago. Then, like a Navy-grade radar machine, he knows a threat is approaching top. He can just feel it in his bones, so he does a quick warm-up sprint, get the blood flowing before a battle, like absolutely big brain type of stuff. And sure enough, his intuition and the fucking mini-map were indeed correct, as a giant floating demon shows up. He lands a Q and then stutter steps to perfection to bait the giant bagel bite into tower, and then the plot thickens as both ults come out, and you may think that this will be his big break as he has the energy to finish the job, but then he remembers that an important lesson needs to be taught to his teammates, so he just dies instead. And that lesson is that not every heroic effort will result in a win, and you have to learn to persist in your work regardless of the outcome, a point that he proves by protesting firmly in Fountain for the rest of the game in silence, as the other team sieges the base in his ever so felt absence. And I will be damned if I don't say that I think we all learned a lot from Mr. What It Do and his ways today, so for that, we should thank him. If you enjoyed this video and want more of this series, please drop a like and a subscribe. Rav out.
I'm not gonna stop when the haters come knocking, so tell 'em kick rocks.